This is an ant with an IQ of 0. A leaf floated down and he instantly lost his way. The companions behind him stopped and thought they would always be trapped here. Fortunately, a trained expert walked over and led them around the leaves so that they could continue to move forward and in such a group of ants with low IQ. But there is a different individual in the crowd, this ant head with a nut helmet and a magical device on his body. As long as you press the switch, the food can be automatically harvested. He is simply the love of the ant world, but because he often gets into trouble, how many times he almost sends the princess away, so his companions don't like him. Philip was shocked and hurried to apologize to the princess. Philip introduced his new invention to the princess, but the princess was not interested in it at all. He just wanted to see if he could hand over the food to the ants on a small island. Ants are the bosses of this area and they spend the days massaging, fighting, flying and living a carefree life. Every year they have a harvest day when the alert ant soldiers play the horn, which means that the ant army has set out and the ants are in a panic. They put the food on the food stone and then hide in the snow in a hurry. Only Philip did not follow the team. He was so busy that he threw the food and the harvest machine down at the same time. Who knows, the next second now the tribute is all gone. Philip still wants to save it, but it's a waste of time. Philip hurried to run to the snow. He came to the princess and wanted to inform the princess, but he hadn't finished. The yellow bug army all broke in and the bug king didn't see that the tribute was angry under the eyes of the ants. The bug king has sold the unrecognizable steps to the princess, although he was very angry that he had not received the tribute, but he was still willing to give the ants a chance. Hey, I'm a compassionate insect. There's still a few months till the rains come, so you can all just try again. But the ants also have to stock up some food for themselves, but the worm king doesn't care so much. He also asked that the next amount of food should be double, or else he would have to open the sand world. This time, everyone gathered their eyes on Philip. Philip wanted to make up for it. He proposed to the princess that he could walk out of the island to find a helper. Although this proposal was very unreliable, but the elders agreed that as long as Philip left, then no one would come to disturb him, and they would be able to harvest the food faster. So the princess happily agreed to his proposal. So Philip carried the luggage, and took the journey of finding a helper on his own. He took the Pugong Eagle plane and left the ant island. This is the prosperous city of the insect world. There are colorful insects all over the place. There are those with red and green lights, those with two-legged legs, and even the bus is made of insects. Philip came to the Uruguayan bar. The insects here are also divided into levels. The top of the food chain can be a good drink, and the bottom can only be a good drink. Philip wanted to find out where there was a strong hand, but Uncle Wenzi didn't care about him at all. He just drank a lot of blood and horsepower. At this time, a few green-headed flies came in. They came to trouble Piao Chong. But Piao Chong was not afraid at all. He directly forced him to retreat with his sword. This mouse didn't give any power. The flies immediately pinched their veins. The insects ran away. The bar was also disbanded. It took a while for it to stop rolling. When Philip came over, together, he didn't know that the green-headed flies fainted on their own. It turned out that the Piao Chong team was all actors who had just been dismissed by the green-headed flies. In order to have a bite to eat, they went to Ant Island with Philip. Not long after, they finally reached the destination. They saw Philip having a helper. The ants suddenly cheered, and they were specially welcomed. When they learned that the task was to defeat the yellow-headed flies, they realized the seriousness of the matter. They decided to return on the original route. Philip hurriedly chased them up. They finally confessed to Philip the true identity. But now they can only pretend to be real. Philip hurriedly stayed ahead of them. He could not imagine what he would face without his helper. But it still couldn't change the determination to leave. Philip hugged them tightly and begged them not to leave. But he didn't expect that he accidentally broke into the bird's territory. Boy! He runs fast for a little guy. Quick! Wait! Quick! Wait! They were scared and ran away. The bird was chasing after them. At this moment, Little Thing was brought up by Pugong Eagle. The bird immediately changed its target. The little thing was scared and slipped. Fortunately, Pugong Eagle helped him. The bird still didn't want to let them go. In order to save its friend, the caterpillar can only betray its body. It twisted Meow Tiao's body and instantly attracted the bird. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the caterpillar brought its partner here. Using the spider's lift, it successfully saved the two. The ants witnessed this rescue operation and cheered for the caterpillar team. They also became the heroes of the ant kingdom, so they decided to stay and fight the caterpillar together. With the experience of this bird attack, the inventor, Feely, has a new idea. Since insects are afraid of birds, they can make a big bird model together to scare the caterpillar army. First, the leaves are carved into the shape of the big bird. Then, they are covered in sunlight in the air. The outline of the big bird is printed on the ground. Then, the tree branches are placed in a frame. Then, the sea snails are put on to imitate the sound. Finally, all joints are fixed with bamboo silk. The ants worked together. They quickly made a good-looking bird model. When the autumn came, the ants used the feathers of the fallen leaves as the feathers of the big bird. The big bird, which had been forced to fly, was finally completed successfully. They put the big bird into the tree hole and began to wait for the caterpillar army. This day, the ant kingdom held a party. The insects were having fun. Suddenly, a carriage rushed out of the grassland. It turned out that it was the leader of the circus troupe. He came to look for the caterpillar team. It turned out that they were on the stage of the circus troupe. The leader invited them to return to the circus troupe. This time, the ants all knew their identity. This means that Feely deceived the entire ant kingdom. No matter how Feely explained it, the princess still drove Feely out of the ant kingdom. But who knew that they had just left? The king of the insects took the army and killed them. They found that they only prepared a little food. The king of the insects thunderstruck. But Hopper, we ran out of time. Have you been playing all summer? You think this is a game? The bug king ordered the ants not to sleep until they had collected all the food on the island, and even delayed it. In order to save the ant kingdom, Co Budian sneaked out secretly. Unexpectedly, he was discovered by the locusts, and he knocked.